Namaste. I honor the place in you, in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you, which is of love, of truth, of light, and of peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we are one. Please be seated.
Good morning.
The makeup of this chapel service is a gesture. The gesture's meaning, some meditational music, and some concluding words. First, though, I want to take you back 44 years in my life. I was 10. I'm 54 now. 1970, my first job, 45 papers on a paper route, delivering the Poughkeepsie Journal. I love that job. Along that route was Volkill. This is Hyde Park, New York. And when you think of Hyde Park, New York, you probably think of anybody? The Roosevelts, the mansion, the home, Springwood. I think we visited that as a middle school. About a mile east in East Park is Volkill. Eleanor Roosevelt spent a lot of time there, and probably for good reason. I know Sarah Roosevelt was a bit controlling. And Eleanor is an independent person, right? I delivered papers to Volkill. I kind of regretted having to do that, honestly, along my route. We'll get to Hinduism in a moment. But I got 2.5 cents per paper, and I had to ride my bike about 3/4 of a mile into this cluster of Dutch cottages where she lived. And I had to ride it back on a dirt road. At any rate, the reason I bring that up is as I was preparing for this chapel, I was looking for Hindu images. And I think I Googled something like Hindu words of wisdom. And up came an image of Eleanor Roosevelt. And I didn't know she was Hindu, but she's not. But there was a picture of her, and it said something like, try daily to do something scary. Well, this is my daily scare right here, being in front of you, honestly. This is a Hinduism Chapel service. Okay, so what do I know about Hinduism? There's so much. It's old. I mean, depending on who you ask, it's not only 2,000 years back to when Jesus Christ was roaming the earth, but it's 2,000 years before that. And if you ask others, it could take another 8,000 years before that. It's old. It's a survivor. It's the oldest of our religions. 1 billion people call themselves Hindu. I don't want to overload you with information and facts, though. That's not why I'm here. And I want to promise you this is a relatively short chapel. I know many of you have mathematics to study and to learn. I'll make sure you're out of here around 9:30 a.m. But for now, I need your help. The basic message this morning is the significance of a simple gesture. I hope you will understand it better in a few minutes, and maybe even use it now and then. It's a significant gesture. When I raise my arms up like this, would you all slowly stand? Now, I used to be a PE teacher, and I'd love to play Simon Says with you right now, but I'm not going to do that. The gesture is Namaste. And do as I do. Namaste. Once more. Namaste. Thank you, babies. This is a Hindu gesture. This is a yogic greeting. I didn't know that word. That has to do with yoga. A yogic greeting. Yoga, of course, is the ancient art based on a harmonizing system of the development from body, mind, and spirit. It is shared, isn't it? Did you agree I did something, you did something? It's a shared experience. It says something. Can you say it with me? This is what it says. It's what Devin so ably read. Repeat after me. I honor the place in you, in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you, which is a love of truth, of light and of peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we are one. There seems to be a connection there, don't you agree? It's beautiful. I'm interested in the word Namaste. I'm interested in the action that reinforces the word. I like that combination. I'm interested in the thought and the deed that follows. The thought and the deed are yoked, are linked. They are together. They communicate powerfully. For me, as a regular guy, that's all I need to know. Some of the complexity of Hinduism follows, though. Bear with me. There seems to be harmony between the thought and the deed. In Hindu speak, the link between the Atman, the individual soul or breath, and the Param, Atman, the cosmic breath. Perhaps it is that man and God are joined at that moment. Let's keep that in our minds, that in this transaction, man and God are joined, they are one. Again, the basic message this morning is the significance of this simple gesture, Namaste. You know, I believe we could be a little bit Hindu today and be better for it. I believe we can explore this Hindu gesture and be better for it. I'm reminded of something Mahatma Gandhi once said. Of course, he lived in the first half, thereabouts, of the 20th century, and he led an independence movement to break away from the British Empire. And he did it non-violently, as Hindus do. They practice ahimsa, non-violence. And of course, it would be fitting to note that Martin Luther King Jr. noted that Gandhi's technique was the guiding light of our technique of non-violent social change with regard to the civil rights movement of the 60s. But getting back, I love this. What did Gandhi say? It motivates me too, I want to say that. He says, a friendly study of all the scriptures is the sacred duty of every individual. While Gandhi was primarily Hindu, he read and he learned and he gleaned important ideas from other faith traditions. We can too. So whether you're Christian or Jewish or Muslim or from another faith tradition, is there something to be learned from this simple Hindu gesture, Namaste? I think yes. In preparing for this, I started about 2 weeks ago, and I took a long journey here and there. It was stressful, frankly. It's a complex religion. I'm simplifying it. But I came upon a story about a little girl named Mary, who was 4 years old. And she was in a drawing class. And she was fervently drawing, great purpose, great determination. She had an idea. And the teacher walks up and asks Mary, "What are you drawing?" And she quickly replied, "I'm drawing God." And he said, "Nobody knows what God looks like." And Mary's reply was, "They will in a minute." I speculate that Mary might either be Hindu or think like a Hindu. She sees God in all living things. It's not hard for Mary to draw God. All life is sacred and should be loved and revered. God is immanent, is inside us. This is what Hindus believe. Mary knows this. Namaste knows this too. Namaste says God is inside us. Let's see how. A close look at the anatomy of Namaste shows it to be a simple act made by bringing together both palms of the hands before the heart and slightly bowing the head, but not into the microphone. In the simplest of terms, it is accepted as a humble greeting, straight from the heart, and reciprocated. I like that word. Reciprocated accordingly. And you reciprocated my gesture too. Now let's study the makeup of the word. Namaste. The word joins two Sanskrit words, nama and te. Te means you, and nama means to bend, to bow, to stoop, to sink. So what does this suggest? All these suggestions point to a sense of submitting oneself to another with complete humility. There's no me. There's no ego. Humility. Okay, it starts to get a little hard now. Continuing to look even more closely to better understand the word, Namaste, the gesture, yes, maybe even the tradition of Hinduism, it shows us the word nama is split into na and ma. Na means negation, not, and ma means mine, so it means not mine. Basically what this is saying is that in the Hindu way of thinking, the individual soul, in this case the one first gesture, belongs entirely to the Supreme Soul, which is identified as residing in the individual toward whom the Namaste is directed. You are bowing to the Supreme Soul. In another way of thinking about it, when you say Namaste, you are rejecting the I and the ego. You're not fully yourself. Right? It is said that Ma in Nama means death, as in spiritual death, and when negated, Nama, it signifies immortality. I like that. I think we think of people who give of themselves freely, openly, regularly. They are spiritual. They have a spirituality about them. They give more than they take. There's no me. They're immortal. When you greet someone with Namaste, Namaste, it is similar to the way a Hindu submits him or herself to a chosen deity during worship. You know, one of the great things about Hinduism is I've heard live and let live. There's a lot of freedom to worship. People can have shrines in their own homes and statues of deities. There are millions of them in Hinduism. And the people interact. They clean, they bathe, they feed the deity. But something has to happen before he or she partakes. When you greet someone with Namaste, it's similar to the way a Hindu submits himself or herself to a chosen deity during worship. The devotee, the person expressing the devotion, is able to submit and partake the merits or qualities of the person, like me to you and you to me, or the deity, before whom he performs this submission. There is this understanding that the worshiper must first become divine. Or otherwise, worship as a transaction would become invalidated. A transaction can only happen between equals. But back to the gesture. By performing Namaste before an individual, we recognize the divine spark in him. I recognize the divine spark in you. I really do. By performing Namaste before an individual, we recognize the divine spark. By partaking of these divine qualities, Namaste makes us aware of these very characteristics that these are residing within our own selves. God is in us. God is inside us. Simply put, Namaste means the following. The God in me meets the God in you. The Spirit in me meets the Spirit in you. It recognizes the equality of all and pays honor to the sacredness of all. I like the symbolism of Namaste. Namaste is deeply rich in symbolism. The proper performance of Namaste requires that we blend the 5 fingers of the left hand exactly with the 5 fingers of the right hand. The 5 fingers of the left hand represent 5 senses of karma, and the right hand, the 5 organs of knowledge. Our karma, our action, therefore, must be in harmony and governed by rightful knowledge, prompting us to think and to act correctly. We're getting there. Also, it's interesting to me to know that when combining the 5 fingers of each hand, a total of 10 is achieved. The number 10 is a symbol of perfection and the mystical number of completion and unity. In this gesture, the reconciliation and the union of opposites, the duality in nature, is reflected. Among these, heaven and earth, just to name a few, sun and moon, theory and practice, pleasure and pain, mind and body, conscious and unconscious, reason and emotion, silence and cacophony, brain and heart. Indeed, there is no sphere of our existence untouched by the symbolic significance of Namaste. For me, again, as a regular person, I really like this gesture. It takes time to do it, and it takes effort to do it right. It is slower and more deliberate, and I'm all about that. It begs a connection between the two. I like that. And I think you're going to like this interpretation. We're almost not there. I really like the following interpretation of Namaste. It is said that in Namaste, the hands are put together like a knife, so that people may cut through all the differences that may exist and immediately get to the shared ground that is common to all peoples of all cultures. I like that. Don't you like that? I can understand that. Okay, for all of us this morning, I think we can be a little bit Hindu in our thoughts and our deeds. Perhaps even using this gesture of Namaste now and then. Let us find common ground. That would please me. But if not Namaste, I think we realize that words and actions matter. May our own words and actions be yoked, linked to give love to others. In this way, God is in us too. We're going to enjoy some meditational music for a few minutes, and then there will be some concluding words. Thank you for listening.
Namaste. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is of love, of truth, of light, and of peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we are one.